You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. Last week, LSU got great news. Myles Brennan exited the transfer portal, announced he is returning to LSU, which solves LSU's quarterback issue. You know, Max Johnson has transferred to Texas A&M. Garrett Nussmeier has experience playing significantly in just one game, but did play, obviously, in 4 games this year. And then, you know, you look through what else is there. Walker Howard is coming in, but aside from that, you were going to have to go into the portal. If not a Myles Brennan returning, you were going to sign a transfer. I mean, you were going to bring in a quarterback, and ultimately, that quarterback they bring in is the one that they had, and that's Myles Brennan, who's going to return. Myles Brennan did an interview last week on Off the Bench. Let's hear some of that. He did an interview today with Chris Gordy, our buddy, who hosts the Locked On SEC podcast, and went through some of this and some deviations from what we heard, differences from what we heard on the OTB interview. First, they started off by discussing the injury, which cost Myles Brennan the 2021 season.
Very demoralizing, you know, obviously sitting there and having to call my parents and talk to them, you know, about what had just happened. And then I just, after I got through that, you know, tough emotional time, I was just like, look, this is how it is. You know, I can't go back and change anything right now. So just, you know, work my butt off every day and make sure that I get back, you know, to where I need to be and to where I want to be.
Demoralizing. Not a word that you often hear from college athletes, but when you've been through everything Myles Brennan has been through, it does make sense. I mean, he had the opportunity in 2020, injured, had come back from that patiently, ready to start in 2021, and then before camp even started, he'd lost that opportunity because of a unfortunate accident. But he gets this opportunity again, and this was Myles Brennan's explanation of the decision to return to LSU.
I sat down with a few schools, and in the back of my head, it was, you know, well, what would be the only school that would make us reconsider my decision on where I would go? And it was LSU, and it was Brian Kelly. And out of the blue, a day before I was wanting to make my decision, he called me and went up to his office, and him and I talked. And, you know, he laid it out there for me. You know, he laid out what his plan was and what his vision was and what he is wanting to do on offense and what he sees in me, and wanted to offer me the opportunity before he, you know, went out and got another transfer. Told him, look, you got to give me at least a day. You know, I completely respectably had shut the door on LSU just in terms of, you know, I was moving on, and now it kind of came full circle. And when I got that call and when I talked to Coach Kelly a few times and we sat down and talked X's and O's and things like that, I just really felt that this is a great situation for me and a great opportunity.
So the other part of that, which he explained a bit, was talking with Brian Kelly and talking the X's and O's and understanding what the offense was going to look like. Something we really don't know yet. We don't know who the OC is going to be, although we've heard the name Mike Denbrock. It seems like that's very likely at this point. But Brennan explained why he would be excited to play for Brian Kelly.
He's a very sharp coach. Yeah, him and I sat down and we talked, not just football, you know, but life and getting to know each other and what our goals are and what our dreams are and you know, so we just had very, very intelligent, you know, deep conversations, and he's just a very sharp guy, you know, and he has the, you know, the enjoyable side to him, the fun, relaxed side, you know, but when it's time for ball, it's, you know, it's strictly for ball, and he just wants to make sure that everyone's doing their own job. You know, if you're doing your own job, then we'll be just fine. Just do your job. Take care of what you need to take care of, show up when you need to show up, do the right thing, lead by example, and we'll be a winning football team. And I really like his intensity and his attention to detail and how serious he is. He is very serious, and I think his resume speaks for itself.
How about the deep conversation about ball and about life? Not sure Myles Brennan's had much of that with the head coach during his time in Baton Rouge. That changes here with Brian Kelly. He was also asked one interesting one about the signing class, and if the signing class, with only Walker Howard being a part of it, you know, a freshman coming in, factored into the decision.
Obviously, that was another part of my decision, is making sure that I have that there are surrounding weapons, surrounding the quarterback position. And Coach Kelly has done a tremendous job in the little time that he's been here at LSU to make sure that he's going out and getting the right guys to make sure that we are successful, offense, defense, and special teams. And you can kind of see it every day. You saw it on signing day. We signed 13 of 13 that, we were supposed to sign. And then, the day after we go and get, Miles Frazier, which is a huge addition to the offensive line. Receiving core, like you talked about, running backs. I feel very confident with the guys that we have and then the guys that we'll sign in February.
When you start to chart out what the offense will look like, supposedly will look like at the start of the season, understanding they could still very well add more pieces, you got to figure out what you do at center. But you figure that Cam Wire and Miles Frazier would be starting tackles, provided Wire's back. And then at the guard spots, you're going to have Bradford, who you really like a lot and played really well this year when he was in there. And then you would assume Garrett Dellinger, because of how he's played, would be in there in spot. Then you've also got Marlon Martinez as an option there, who played well in spots when he had his opportunity. You're bringing in Will Campbell. You're bringing in Emory Jones. You could add another transfer. My point is the offensive line looks deeper, more experienced. Well, I shouldn't say more. Let me rephrase. Not more experienced. Because when you return Deculus and Ingram and Shanahan and Hines, you had experience this past year. You had experience. What you didn't have was great depth on that offensive line. And a new offensive line coach and a new scheme that was learning together. But your numbers should be good next year, which they were not really this year. At the skill spots, provided Kayshon Boutte is back, he paces your receivers, where you're also going to have Malik Neighbors, who had a breakout year, Jack Besh, who led the team in receptions this season. You should have some help at tight end as well. Jack Mashburn played a good bit. You could still flex out Jack Besh, but then you'd also have, with Mason Taylor coming in, a freshman tight end who is a true tight end playing that position. Brennan, your fifth-year senior at quarterback. And then we'll see what the running back spot looks like behind him based on who returns and who's eligible. My assumption is Ty Davis, like we've all talked, Ty Davis Price is expected to go pro after this season. It may not even play in the bowl game. We'll wait for a definitive answer on that. But should you have Corey Kiner back, Armani Goodwin, Trey Bradford next year potentially, what is John Emery's decision? Point being, you got a great base to start with now, and you still have the February signing period and transfer portal to continue building out that offense. You can see why Myles Brennan would be excited about it. And if you just start to compare what that Cincinnati offenses look like with Mike Denbrock calling plays, with the Notre Dame offenses look like Brian Kelly and Tommy Rees, there's a lot of reason, I think, if you're Myles Brennan, to be excited, even though it's another voice offensively leading you into the season. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.